Time to join Philip for today's Take Two.
Hello, welcome back. We're 3 weeks into Take Two, and as you can see, the mail is pouring in. Thank you very much indeed for all your letters and comments. I'll read some out a little bit later on. Now, last week we dealt with the fast-moving world of television soaps, where you learn your lines on the run, and if you don't follow the script, then nobody minds as long as you put across the general idea of what the scene's all about. This week we move into a very different area, the thoughtful, careful and crafted world of British children's drama. You'll meet Paul Stone, who's the producer of the very popular children's drama serial Moondial, and we'll find out what our critics thought of the series as well. And I expect you want to know where they come from. They come from over here. And first of all, I have to walk past a new addition to our set. This is the Take Two bucket, which is blocking the water coming down from the Take Two hole in the Take Two studio roof. So there you are. Oh, and a little bit more came down then as well. Now, the two schools are from Barrow in Furness, which is there, and they are the Vickerston County Primary School, where their average age is 7, and the Thorncliffe Secondary School, where their average age is 12. But before we have a look at Moondial, we were quite interested to know what you think about cartoons. Now, we know they're popular, or are they? Here are two different views. The first from Natalie Wright, age 9, from Chatham in Kent, and she writes, "I think that the programme Around the World with Willy Fogg is one of the crummiest programmes ever made. My brother and I have to turn over to watch Sooty. I don't like Sooty much, but anything is better than Willy Fogg. I watched one, but halfway through I got out my homework because that was more exciting." And from Marcia Mehta from Wembley in Middlesex, she writes, "I'm 10 years old and go to Barham Junior School. I'm writing to tell you how much I like watching Around the World with Willy Fogg. I like drawing very much, and so I've drawn a picture of Willy Fogg and Rigodon. And here they are." Thank you very much indeed, Marcia. And here's another one of Willy from Summerhague from Croydon. Thanks very much indeed for that too. And here is the real Willy Fogg.
Well, everything seems to be in order. Captain, I trust your men are getting the furnaces good and hot.
Yes, sir. She'll be full before you know it.
Gotta get it good and hot for lots of steam for that balloon.
Any minute now, Mr. Fogg.
Right you are, Captain.
That's the end of the coal.
Hey, she's taking a big breath now, eh? Hey, ring it on. She get the big round like my Aunt Juliana. And that's a pretty big, let me tell you.
Tico.
All right, lad, don't let those lines get tangled. Keep her away from the mast now, that's it.
She's beautiful, Mr. Fogg.
All right, she's going up, she's free.
We owe many thanks to you, Manolo. And you, Captain.
Don't mention it, Mr. Fogg. Hey, I just hope you make it back to London in time.
Vaya con Dios, Senor Fogg.
All right, lads, cut her free.
Around the World with Willy Fogg, and has Andy Crane sent you your song sheet yet? Let's hear what you think of the general standard of the cartoon shown on children's BBC.
I think we've got quite a good standard of cartoons on BBC because they show a wide range of subjects like the black and white Popeye for the old people and up to the modern day cartoons.
Yeah, some of them are a bit old. Like some of them are black and white, like Popeye. Every now and again they get. I don't like things like that. I like the ones like Yogi Bear, things like that. They're good.
I don't think they're very well animated, and some of them, when they're going to run, the legs just go round and round. They don't look like they're running properly. It's not very good animation.
Tom and Jerry, it looks real when they're running, but like in the other ones, if they look like cardboard, they do look like cardboard, and like the background doesn't stand out.
I think they're quite good. They're well drawn because they're not just like flat. They've got shape to them.
I don't really like the cartoons that are like films. I prefer the ones that are quite short, but have got a good ending. You know, they're not just like a cliffhanger. But I don't really watch them if they're not well animated.
I think Kissy Fur and Yogi Bear are quite good.
Good old kiss of face. See, that's what happens when you play with matches. Here he is on our painting board, painted by Kerry Ann Martin, aged 12, from Kent. Right, let's have a look at some more before we tell you the winner. This is a nice one up here. Michael Jackson, of course, currently on his worldwide tour, from Jeremy. Thank you for that. Our guest last week, Jason Donovan, Scott from Neighbours. And then there's Bros here, very popular this year. And then underneath that, I won't talk about that too much, because that's Gordon the Gopher, but of course he's banned from Take Two. He's not allowed on this one. Right, and over here, 2 pictures of Jimbo. That's a nice one. Jimbo and the Jet Set. Thank you for that one. And another nice one there. That's terrific, but I expect you want to know who's won, don't you? I'll tell you in a second. There's Mel and Kim here. Right, that's a nice one. Right, ready for the winner? You ready? Okay, and the winner is... ta-da! That one there. It's sent in by Kim Noak, who's 15, from Chester Street in County Durham, and she's called it the Really Wild Show. Well done, Kim. It's a terrific picture. Absolutely lovely. A gift voucher is on its way to you. Right, okay, over we go. Have a look at some of the letters that you sent in this week. The first comes from Sally Dodds, who is 14, from Thetford in Norfolk. She says, I cannot stand repeats of old 60s and 70s programmes. I find it difficult to relate to them as they're so dated. It makes me laugh when I see people walking about on the screen in their bell-bottom trousers and hippie hairstyles when the fashion has changed so much since then. It seems to me that the programme planners are stuck in a time warp. Perhaps they're trying to recapture their youth, as the number of these programmes are on the increase. Well, thank you for that. Martin Windsor from Oldham, Greater Manchester, writes, I'm writing to complain about the number of repeats that you're showing. To start with, on Tuesday, the 5th of April, I switched on to be confronted by Johnny Briggs, which has not only been shown twice, now we have to sit and yawn again for a 3rd time. Now from Melinda O'Neill. Melinda is 9, from Winchester. I like Johnny Briggs. He's always getting into trouble at school and home. I also like our Rita. She's so bossy and awful, and I'm sure that many boys have big sisters just like her. She always thinks she's right. She always is. My mum likes Johnny's voice. Radanoids. The twins are very smug and always get their work right. Johnny has a nice friend called Pamela, and I like Razzle. He's very sweet. I like the boys' untidy bedroom, and I think the music is great. Which sounds to me like a general thumbs up. The next letter comes from Julia Sandham, who's 11, from Cheltenham in Gloucestershire. I think that there should be more drama on children's BBC that shows what is going on in the world at the moment. Most programmes are about magic and aliens from outer space, instead of important things like South Africa, drug abuse and home matters. Although you hear about this on the news, people think it won't happen to them. A drama series to wake people up to what is really going on is what children's BBC needs. Or perhaps I can ask something about that letter to my guest today, who's had a very distinguished career in BBC children's drama. His award-winning dramas include Carrie's War, The Machine Gunners, December Rose, which is soon to be repeated, and Box of Delights. But today he's here to talk about his latest success, Moondial.
Hello again. Sarah Minty Kane. I know you can't tell me my name, but I know you've got one. And now, you know what I want, don't you?
Paul Stone, welcome to Take Two.
Thank you.
Before we get on to Moondial, let's talk about that letter that we just read out. Should there be more factual drama on children's BBC?
Well, I certainly think it's a valuable part of our output. In fact, thinking back, I mean, recently we've had Running Scared, which dealt with quite serious issues involved in community life in the East End. We've had White Peak Farm, which looked very strongly at the social pressures inside a family, including the death of a grandparent. We've had The Cuckoo Sister, and of course Grange Hill goes on discussing many of the topical issues. I think it's a very good comment, and I'd like to see more, but ultimately it must, of course, balance the rest of the output.
And is it once again down to money?
No, not necessarily, no. I don't think so, because fantasy, in fact, tends to be more expensive than contemporary drama. So it isn't a question of cash, but it would be a question of getting the balance. I think if all the drama was social comment and naturalistic and real, I think the service would be the poorer. We need to find both sections.
Okay, all right, well, let's have a look at the latest from your very superior and prestigious stable, and that being Moondial. What did you think of the programme?
It's good, it's different. Whenever they stop, it's, oh God, why did they have to stop then? I want to see some more.
I think it's good, and I like the bit at the beginning when the band comes on, and I like the music.
It is quite good when other people can't see her or the Tom, the wee boy. But I don't think you'd be able to pick it up if you missed an episode. I mean, because you wouldn't know what would happen, like, it just wouldn't flow anymore.
It's pretty exciting. But the bits I don't like about it is if a little kid watched it, they'd probably think it's scary, and if you miss 1 week of it, you don't know what it's about the next week.
It's good, the setting's good. I like the way that she goes back in time and meets Tom and Sarah, but the way they talk about Devil's Child and the occult, they say it too often, and the younger age group they could get worried by it. But it is quite good on the whole.
I don't suppose, Sarah, you ever consider what my own life is like. Shut up in here, week in, week out, with a monstrosity. They don't pay me very much, you know. I shall never get rich waiting after you. And no one speaks to me unless they have to, and you know why, Sarah? Because they think something evil must rub off on me being with you day in, day out. Perhaps it does. Maybe they're right. I sometimes wonder whether I exist at all. I sometimes wonder whether I shall go mad. Shut in here. Why do you never look at me? You look at me!
It's very powerful stuff. Too much occult, too much mention of the devil.
Yes, it's been, there aren't that many references, but it has been a criticism that I've seen in 1 or 2 letters that we've received as well. I mean, I think it's been exaggerated, because really what we're dealing with is the difference between good and evil, if you like, and so often the evil forces are represented by a witch-like figure. I mean, that goes back right through almost every book you read from the very earliest age. I mean, can you imagine Cinderella without the witch, or even the Wizard of Oz? It would be very boring and less exciting. I think it's important that the feelings you get from the programme are good ones, in the sense that you should feel compassion for the 2 central characters, both Tom and Sarah, and of course Minty. And I think that in that sense, seeing the triumph of good over evil, that only good can come out of this sort of programme.
On to another part of the programme now. What did you think of Minty?
I don't like how she's always wearing the same thing over and over again. It's like she went on holiday and she only took 1 set of clothes with her.
I like the acting, and I like the way she makes herself cry, because I'm not very good at that.
I think the idea of her talking to her mother on the tape recorder is quite good.
Does she know? Could she? Well, it's her that told Aunt Mary to hide the key so as I can't get out. She's trying to make me a prisoner of the day, like Sarah's a prisoner of the night. And Tom, I don't know if I'll ever see him again. Oh, Mum, if you could have seen him. Poor Tom. I don't know how to make him come back. I don't know how.
Minty, played by Siri Neal. How do you go about picking a young actress for one of your parts?
Well, the most obvious course is to go to the drama schools which specialise in training children for the acting profession. But it depends on this emotional and technical skills as well as that ability to express her feelings. And I think Siri is tremendous. I mean, there's intelligence as well as the ability to play the emotional range. I mean, some children act just naturally, and you, in a sense, put the emotion on the child's face. Siri is playing it with all the understanding of the complexity of the moods and the changes of pace. So it's technically a brilliant performance as well as being emotionally so strong.
Okay, and let's talk about her clothes. There was one comment in there that said that she wore the same ones all the way through.
Yes. I'm not, it may well be true. I'm surprised. I think it's a valid criticism.
So there you are, that's one point that's been picked up. We've already touched on the occult, but did you think it was frightening?
Most people enjoy getting frightened by things like that. So I don't think that would worry them. It's not a very frightening programme because it's highly unlikely that someone will come back in time and be invisible. Yeah. Don't think it'd frighten anyone.
I think it should be for about over 8s or something, because young children, they might not like it and they might get scared, like about 3 or 4-year-olds. I think they might get scared, so it might be on a bit later though. Well, I thought the devil might come and it worried me a bit, and so I missed it for a few weeks because I was badly, and it was all right after that. It didn't scare me anymore.
This, I would assume, if you're going to make a programme like this, is going to be a problem as to how scary you can make it and where do you pitch it. How do you decide that?
Well, it's a delicate line and one which we have to be very sensitive to. I mean, I think that the criticism about 3 or 4-year-olds watching, I think it's true. The truth probably is that they wouldn't watch. It might be a little hard for them to handle. But I suspect that the reality of the experience has shown that they simply don't watch. I think the older children, an element of fear inside a story is no bad thing, given that fear itself is a helpful sign of a warning, if you like. And again, my belief is that it should always be at a level which most children can handle confidently. And I would judge by the criticisms of those viewers there that it falls well within that jurisdiction.
Well, Moondial overall got the thumbs up right the way across the board. Everybody enjoyed it. But there's one point that I did want to make. In a moment, our written criticism is about Running Scared, which has just started another run. And after the first programme of Running Scared, there were a vast amount of telephone calls, apparently, to the BBC from parents saying, oh, this is scary. Who do you make it for? Do you make it for the parents or do you make it for the children? Because the children apparently weren't particularly frightened.
No, they're not. I mean, I can understand parents and other authoritarian figures being protective for the interests of children. Running Scared is perhaps harder to understand why they were objecting to it in one sense and not in another. There's no question that since Hungerford, reactions to certain types of violence is much stronger and understandable, and I think we as the BBC would have to follow public opinion. Having said that, I still don't think that Running Scared is in any sense harmful, because again the whole issues are an awakening of compassion for 2 young heroines who are facing up to criminals, and that sense of doing right again is very strong in the story, as well as feeling tremendous pity for the situation in which the 2 girls find themselves. You come away, I'm sure, convinced in the sense of rightness having to prevail.
Do you think that sometimes then parents or authoritarians would be a little bit too careful?
I think there are occasions. I mean, everyone is careful for your own children, and I am equally so with mine. I know if my son is running on a wall that's 9 foot high, the first thing I'm going to do is tell him to get off. But I know that if the wall is only 6 inches high, he'll learn some lessons maybe, which is useful to him in his own development. And I don't think you can so overprotect children that can no longer develop themselves, and I think part of growing up is learning to handle all sorts of situations.
Okay. What's your next project? What are you doing now? And it's a big one, isn't it?
Well, we're right in the middle of producing quite a lot of new drama, including, of course, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, the beginning of the Narnia series of books, which we hope to do over the next 3 years. And we're halfway shooting that. And we're going to make Tom's Midnight Garden. And there is to be a new, for those viewers today, a new contemporary drama dealing with social issues, which is going to be called The Country Boy, written by Bernard Ashley. There will be another series of Gruey and Bad Boys. So there's quite a lot on the cards.
Well, you've got your briefcase down there, so as you
yes.
imagine, there's all sorts of bits and pieces you've got to get writing.
That's right, that's right. Yes.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
My pleasure.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot. Now it's time for the written criticism voucher to be awarded, and this week the congratulations go to Fiona Wood, aged 12, from Swanley in Kent. Running Scared is a thoroughly enjoyable series. It faces the problems of racism and friendships breaking up. It shows the difficulties of being a teenager and the arguments between parents and teenagers. The storyline is very well put together, and I particularly like the way that Paula's family had a traitor. The characters were very well thought out, the way they had an Indian family living in Britain and having a business under pressure by a protection gang. There's never a dull moment. Even when the family is having a discussion, something always happens, and the way they use the docks in London is very clever. The actors and actresses played their parts excellently. I like the way the gang is not all men, because it's not just men who are nasty, there are some women, and this programme shows that very clearly. I thought the policeman was a bit harsh, and hiding the glasses in the music box was a very clever idea, and having a special tune to open the box was an excellent idea. Overall, it's an exciting series, and I hope to see more like it. Thank you very much indeed, Fiona. It's a terrific letter. Thanks a lot for that. And your gift voucher will be with you very soon, I promise. And we'll be finding out what you think of Running Scared in a few weeks' time. Now, next week on Take Two, we're back to my old stomping ground, the children's BBC broom cupboard upstairs. And Andy Crane has been in the driving seat now for 7 months, so we thought you might like a look behind the scenes, and we'll hear your comments as well. In a fortnight's time, we'll be concentrating on what could be described as the Canadian version of Grange Hill, Degrassi Junior High. What do you think? How does it compare with Grange Hill? And why don't you write in and let me know? The address is Take Two, BBC Television, London W12 8QT. Take Two, BBC Television, London W12 8QT. And as always, that is the address for any comments you would like to make, programmes you'd like to see again, and also entries in the painting competition and the written criticism competition. So until next week, get scribbling, get painting, get drawing. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
That's right, we're under the spotlight next week. Be interesting to see what you have to say about us. And your comments about Running Scared were very interesting. Of course, it's the penultimate episode of that